Nobody believed her until she was gone. Everyone liked Marcus. That was the first problem. He was polite at dinners, calm at work, helpful with neighbors. The kind of man people described with words like stable, respectful, reliable. So when Leah first tried to explain what was happening behind closed doors, nobody understood. They thought she was stressed. They thought she was emotional. They thought she was overreading normal relationship problems. Because Marcus did not look like danger. He looked like the person who would help you carry groceries upstairs. The person who remembered birthdays. The person who smiled at your parents and asked careful questions about their health. Leah met him at a charity event in the city. He was not loud. He did not try too hard. He listened. That was what she noticed first. After a painful breakup, calm felt safe. Marcus knew that. He did not rush her with obvious pressure. He moved slowly enough to seem respectful, but quickly enough to become important. At first, he sent thoughtful messages. Did you sleep well? Did your meeting go okay? You sounded tired yesterday. Are you sure you are eating enough? It felt caring. Leah told her sister that he paid attention in a way most people did not. Her sister smiled and said, "That sounds good." And maybe it was good. At the beginning. But sometimes control does not begin as control. Sometimes it begins as a pattern of attention so consistent that you stop noticing how much of your life someone is collecting. Marcus remembered everything. Her schedule, her closest friends, her insecurities, her fear of being called dramatic, her habit of apologizing when she felt uncomfortable. He learned where the soft places were, and then, slowly, he started pressing on them. The first warning sign was small. Leah canceled dinner because she was exhausted. Marcus replied, "Of course. Rest." Then he did not text for 10 hours. No anger, no argument, no threat. Just silence. By midnight, Leah was the one apologizing. "I am sorry if I hurt you. I just had a long day. I did not mean to make you feel unwanted." Marcus answered 5 minutes later. "I just care more than you do, I guess." That was the first hook, not a fight. A sentence that made love feel like debt. For the audience, this is where the story begins. Not with a crime scene, but with a mistake almost anyone could make. Trusting someone who seems steady. Explaining away discomfort because the person has not done anything that looks dramatic yet. Leah did not see the pattern immediately. Most people do not. Because emotional control rarely begins with something obvious enough to explain to other people. It begins with a feeling. A small pressure in the stomach before you answer. A pause before you decide what to say. A quiet question in your head. Will this upset him? Marcus became skilled at never saying the thing directly. He did not say, "Do not go out with your friends." He said, "They never seem happy for you." He did not say, "I want you away from your sister." He said, "She puts ideas in your head." He did not say, "Answer me immediately." He said, "I just feel ignored when you disappear." Each sentence sounded reasonable alone. That was the trap. When Leah tried to repeat them later, they did not sound terrifying. They sounded almost normal. Almost explainable. Almost like something any worried boyfriend could say. So she started defending him before anyone accused him. He just gets anxious. He had a difficult childhood. He has trust issues. He loves deeply. But real love does not require you to shrink the world until one person feels safe. Marcus was careful in public. At brunch, he touched Leah's shoulder gently and asked if she wanted more coffee. At family dinners, he laughed softly and helped clean up without being asked. At work events, he spoke about her with pride. Leah's friends would say, "He adores you," and Leah would smile. Because how do you explain that the same hand that rests warmly on your shoulder in public can feel like ownership in private? How do you explain that someone can look kind while making you feel small? The first time she tried, it went badly. Leah told her friend Emma that Marcus made her nervous sometimes. Emma frowned. Nervous how? Leah hesitated. That hesitation was the problem. There was no single bruise, no broken plate, no screaming phone call, just 1,000 small moments that sounded weak when spoken out loud. He gets quiet when I do things he does not like. He makes me feel guilty. He says I remember things wrong. He acts calm until I feel crazy. Emma looked confused. But Marcus? He seems so patient. That sentence followed Leah home. He seems so patient. By the time she reached her apartment, she was doubting herself again. And this is why Leah's story matters. If a warning sign only looks obvious after the ending, then we need to learn how to recognize it earlier, while it is still quiet. Marcus understood the power of reputation. He knew that people believed what they saw most often. And what they saw was his performance. Calm voice, soft smile, helpful gestures. No public anger. That performance became his protection. Whenever Leah reacted, Marcus stayed still. Whenever she cried, he lowered his voice. Whenever she raised a concern, he looked wounded. He had a way of turning every conversation around until Leah was no longer asking what he had done. She was explaining why she had brought it up. One night, she said, "I do not like how you speak to me when we are alone." Marcus stared at her for a long time. Then he said, "I am trying so hard to be good to you, and you still make me the villain." Leah felt the room shift. Suddenly, the issue was not his behavior. It was her cruelty for noticing it. He sat on the edge of the bed, silent. She stood in the doorway, heart racing, trying to remember the exact sentence that had started the argument. That became common. She would begin with certainty and end in confusion. It was like walking into a room with the lights on and leaving it unable to find the door. The next morning, Marcus brought her tea. He kissed her forehead. "I hate when we fight," he said. Leah wanted to say, "We did not fight. I tried to talk, but she was tired." So she said nothing. That silence was how the pattern survived. Not because Leah was weak, because exhaustion is one of control's favorite tools. If every conversation costs too much, eventually peace becomes more important than truth. Leah began choosing peace. She stopped telling Marcus when something hurt her. She stopped correcting details. She stopped asking why he knew things she had not told him, like the night he mentioned her coworker's divorce. Leah froze. "How do you know about that?" Marcus shrugged. "You told me." "I did not." "You did." She was sure she had not. But Marcus said it with such calm certainty that she let it go. Later, she searched her messages. Nothing. No mention of the divorce. She stared at the phone for 5 minutes, trying to decide whether memory was evidence. This is one of the quietest red flags, when you start needing proof of your own reality. The frightening part was not that Marcus fooled strangers. It was that he made Leah doubt what she knew from inside the relationship. He did not only manage his image, he managed her confidence. By the 3rd month, Leah had changed in ways other people noticed. But nobody connected those changes to Marcus. She stopped wearing bright colors. She stopped staying out late. She stopped answering group chats with the same easy humor. When friends invited her out, she said she was tired. Sometimes that was true. Most of the time, she was calculating. If she went, Marcus would not forbid it. He would not shout. He would not make a scene. He would simply become quiet afterward, and that quiet would last for hours or days. A punishment without fingerprints. At work, Leah became distracted. She checked her phone constantly, not because she wanted to talk to Marcus, because she feared what would happen if she did not. One afternoon, her manager asked if everything was okay. Leah smiled too quickly. "Yes, just busy." That was another change. She lied automatically. Not big lies, survival lies. "I am fine. Everything is good. He is just protective. I am overthinking." Then came the dinner. It was supposed to be simple. 4 friends, a small restaurant, no drama. Leah told Marcus a week before. He smiled. "You do not need my permission." That sentence sounded healthy, but his face did not. On the night of the dinner, he texted at 7:12. "Have fun," at 7:48. "Who is there?" at 8:03. "You did not mention Ben was coming." at 8:09. Interesting. Leah felt her body change before her mind caught up. Her hands went cold. Her throat tightened. She stopped hearing the conversation at the table. Emma noticed. "You okay?" Leah nodded. Then another message appeared. "Do not embarrass me. No threat, no profanity, no obvious violence. Just 5 words that made her stand up from dinner and leave early. When she got outside, Marcus was not there. That almost made it worse, because she had reacted as if he were. This is what conditioning does. The person does not need to be in the room anymore. Their reaction lives inside your nervous system. Leah went home. Marcus was waiting in the apartment, calm as ever. He looked at her coat, then at her face. "You left because you knew I was right," he said. And Leah, exhausted, said nothing. If someone had filmed that dinner, it might have looked ordinary. A woman checking her phone. A man waiting at home. But fear is often invisible from the outside, especially when the person creating it knows how to stay calm. The first time Leah used the word scared, she whispered it. She was sitting in her sister's kitchen, holding a mug she had not drunk from. Her sister Naomi watched her carefully. "You are not yourself," Naomi said. Leah laughed, but it came out wrong. "I am just tired." Naomi did not smile. "Are you scared of him?" Leah looked down. That pause answered more than words could. But then the old reflex returned. "No, not scared. It is not like that. He has never hit me." Naomi leaned forward. "That is not what I asked." The room became quiet. For the first time, Leah felt how much effort it took to protect Marcus from a sentence he had earned. She wanted to tell the truth. She wanted to say, "I feel watched. I feel smaller. I feel like every choice has to pass through him. I feel like I am disappearing, and everyone thinks he is the reason I am safe." But instead, she said, "He is complicated." That was easier. Complicated is a word people use when the truth feels too dangerous. Later that night, Marcus asked where she had been. Leah said Naomi's. He nodded. "What did she say about me?" There it was. Not "how is your sister?" Not "did you have a good time?" Not "are you okay?" What did she say about me? Leah heard it clearly. For once, she did not answer immediately. Marcus smiled. "You can tell me." But his voice was too calm. Leah said, "Nothing." Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "You are becoming secretive." The old Leah would have defended herself. The new Leah felt something different. A tiny, frightening spark of anger. Not loud, not reckless, just alive. She went to the bathroom and locked the door. Her hands shook as she typed a message to Naomi. "I think something is wrong." She stared at it, then deleted it, typed again. "I need to talk tomorrow." Deleted that too. Finally, at 11:47 p.m., she sent only one sentence. "I do not think I am safe." Naomi replied immediately. "Come here now." Leah did not answer. Because outside the bathroom door, Marcus had gone silent. And this silence felt different. Naomi would later replay that silence again and again. Not the words, the absence of words. The way Leah seemed to be listening to something nobody else could hear. What happened next was reconstructed later from small details. A neighbor heard voices around midnight, not shouting. That mattered. People expect danger to sound loud. But the neighbor described the voices as low, tense, controlled. A door opened. A door closed. Then footsteps in the hallway. At 12:18 a.m., Leah's phone moved. That was confirmed later. Not far, only several blocks. Then the signal disappeared. By morning, Naomi was calling again and again. No answer. At 9:10, she drove to Leah's apartment. Marcus opened the door. He looked tired, but calm. Too calm, Naomi thought later. He said Leah had left early, needed space. He said they had argued because Leah had been emotional. He said he did not want to make things worse by following her. Naomi pushed past him. Leah's keys were on the counter. Her coat was gone. Her wallet was there. Her favorite boots were still by the door. Naomi asked where she would go without her wallet. Marcus looked at the wallet like he had not noticed it before. "I do not know," he said. Then he added something that stayed with Naomi. "She has not been herself lately." There it was again, the story being built in real time. Not missing, unstable, not afraid, emotional, not controlled, difficult. This is how public image becomes dangerous. Marcus did not need to prove anything immediately. He only needed to plant the first version of the story. And because people already believed he was calm, responsible, and patient, his version had a place to land. When police arrived, Marcus was cooperative. He answered questions clearly. He gave his timeline. He handed over his phone. He looked like a worried partner. Naomi looked like a frantic sister. That contrast mattered, because systems, friends, and families often trust the person who seems composed. But composure is not the same as truth. A person can be calm because they are innocent. A person can also be calm because they are performing. The first officer asked Naomi why she believed Leah was in danger. Naomi said, "Because she told me." Then she showed the message. "I do not think I am safe." For the first time that morning, Marcus stopped speaking. Small details can matter because they show contradiction. A person says one thing, but the room says another. The keys, the wallet, the missing phone signal, the calm explanation. Individually, each detail was small. Together, they became a pattern. The message changed the case, not because it proved everything, but because it interrupted the story Marcus was trying to tell. Before the message, Leah was emotional. After the message, Leah was afraid. That difference matters. Fear has meaning. Fear points somewhere. Investigators began asking different questions. Who did Leah fear? When did the fear begin? Why had nobody seen it before? The answer was uncomfortable. People had seen pieces. They just had not known how to read them. Emma remembered the dinner. How Leah's face changed when her phone lit up. A coworker remembered Leah hiding her screen whenever Marcus called. Naomi remembered the way Leah defended him before anyone blamed him. A neighbor remembered hearing Marcus say one sentence 2 weeks earlier. "You make people worry about you so they will feel sorry for you." At the time, the neighbor thought it was a couple arguing. Now it sounded different. That is how red flags often work. In the moment, they seem small. Later, they become a map. Police reviewed building footage. At 12:06 a.m., Leah and Marcus appeared in the hallway. Leah was walking ahead. Marcus was behind her. He was not grabbing her. He was not running. He was not visibly threatening her. But Leah kept turning her head. Once, twice, 3 times. Her body language said what the footage could not. She was not leaving freely. She was managing fear. At 12:11, the camera near the back exit showed them again. Then nothing. Marcus had told police Leah left alone through the front. He had been precise about it. Too precise. When confronted, he said he was confused. Then he said the footage must be from another night. Then he said Leah asked him not to tell anyone. The story changed, and when a story changes under pressure, investigators listen. But the hardest part was not the timeline. It was what people said afterward. I never would have guessed. He was always so nice. He seemed so normal. He really loved her. Those sentences sound harmless, but sometimes they become walls around the truth. Because if everyone insists a person is good, the victim has to prove not only what happened. She has to prove that everyone else was wrong. That is why investigators often look for changes, not just events. A changed story, a changed timeline, a changed expression when new evidence appears. Patterns tell the truth when single moments try to hide it. This story is fictional, but the pattern is real. And the most important lesson is not that every quiet person is dangerous. That would be false. The lesson is that public behavior is only part of the truth. Some people are kind in public because they are kind. Others are kind in public because reputation is useful. Marcus understood that. His politeness was not random. It was a shield. Every time he helped someone, the shield became stronger. Every time he stayed calm, the shield became stronger. Every time people praised him, Leah became harder to believe. That is why one of the most dangerous red flags is the gap between public charm and private fear. If someone treats you beautifully when others are watching, but makes you anxious when you are alone, pay attention. If everyone else thinks they are patient, but you feel terrified of disappointing them, pay attention. If you need to rehearse normal conversations before you have them, pay attention. Fear is information. It does not always mean the worst has happened, but it always deserves to be taken seriously. Psychologically, Marcus used 3 powerful tools. First, reputation. He created a version of himself that others would defend. Second, ambiguity. He avoided obvious threats, so Leah struggled to explain the harm. Third, reversal. Whenever Leah named pain, he made himself the wounded person. Together, those tools created a trap. Leah was not only dealing with Marcus, she was dealing with everyone's belief in Marcus. That is why victims of emotional control often stay quiet, not because nothing happened, because they know how unbelievable it sounds. He gets quiet. He makes me doubt myself. He makes me feel guilty. He never says I cannot go, but I know what will happen if I do. To someone outside the pattern, those sentences can sound small. Inside the pattern, they are the walls of a cage. A healthy relationship does not require you to collect evidence of your own feelings. It does not make you afraid of ordinary choices. It does not turn your loved ones into suspects. And it does not depend on everyone else thinking your partner is perfect. For Human Nature Files, this is the center of the case. Not the mystery alone, but the psychology underneath it. The social shield, the private fear, the way reputation can become camouflage. Leah's case forced people around her to ask a painful question. Why did we believe him so easily? The answer was not simple. They believed him because he was calm, because he was polite, because he had helped them before, because Leah seemed anxious and Marcus seemed stable. But trauma often looks anxious, fear often looks messy, and control often looks calm. That is what people misunderstand. A victim trying to explain emotional abuse may sound uncertain because the abuse was designed to create uncertainty. They may forget details because they spent months being told their memory was wrong. They may defend the person hurting them because they have been trained to protect the relationship at all costs. They may appear unstable because stability was taken from them slowly. That does not make their fear meaningless. It makes it important. The message Leah sent was short. I do not think I am safe. 7 words. But those words carried everything she had not been able to explain. The quiet punishments, the rewritten conversations, the guilt, the isolation, the fear of being called dramatic, the fear that nobody would believe her. And maybe the most tragic part is this. She was right to be afraid of not being believed. Because when she first tried, people looked at Marcus and saw the version he had built for them. They did not see what Leah saw. This is why listening matters. Not blindly believing every accusation without thought, but listening without immediately protecting the reputation of the person being named. There is a difference. When someone says, I am afraid, the first response should not be, but he seems nice. The first response should be, tell me what happened. That small shift can change everything. Sometimes people do not need you to solve the entire case in one conversation. They need you not to close the door. They need you to hold the possibility that the person you like in public may be different in private. That possibility is uncomfortable, but discomfort is not more important than safety. Leah's warning signs were there. They were quiet. They were confusing. They were easy to explain away, but they were there. And by the time everyone understood them, she was gone. The people around Leah were not evil. Many cared about her. But caring is not enough if we only believe pain when it arrives in a form we already understand. The lesson hidden inside this case is simple, but not easy. A good reputation does not erase harmful behavior. A calm voice does not mean a safe person. And someone who never seems angry can still be deeply controlling. The warning sign was not that Marcus looked dangerous. He did not. That was the problem. The warning sign was the difference between the man everyone admired and the man Leah feared. Public kindness matters, but private behavior reveals character. Real character is not how someone acts when they are being watched. It is how they treat people when nobody is there to praise them. If someone makes you feel small in private, do not let their public image convince you that your experience is not real. If someone makes you afraid to answer honestly, pay attention. If someone punishes you with silence, then calls it love, pay attention. If you find yourself editing your stories, hiding your feelings, or asking whether you are allowed to have normal independence, pay attention. Those are not small things. They are signals. And if someone comes to you with a story that sounds unclear, do not rush to defend the person they fear. Ask questions. Listen for patterns. Look at what changed. Did they become isolated? Did they become anxious? Did they stop acting like themselves? Are they afraid of normal reactions? Do they keep apologizing for things that do not require apology? Sometimes the evidence of control is not one dramatic event. Sometimes the evidence is the person slowly disappearing while still standing in front of you. This story is fictional, but the pattern is real. And the question it leaves behind is one we should all remember. When someone says they are afraid, do we listen? Or do we protect the image of the person they are afraid of? Because sometimes the most dangerous mask is not a lie. Sometimes it is a perfect reputation. And sometimes the person everyone trusts is the person someone else is trying to survive. That is the lesson inside this case. Nobody believed her until she was gone. So the final warning is not only for people inside relationships, it is also for friends, sisters, co-workers, and neighbors. When someone changes around a person they claim to love, do not ignore the change.